I fell in love with video games when I met Miss Pac-Man. I was in college, and I used to hang out every chance I had and play that game. I was so good at that game. Sometimes the next morning, I would get up, and my hand would hurt so badly from having held that controller so tightly. But I was the master of Miss Pac-Man. A few years ago, I had a life-changing event. When my youngest son, who was 14 years old at the time, went to work in a remote mountain village in Ecuador, where he went to help children. And when he came back from that trip, he talked to me about some of the wrongs that he had witnessed. And he looked at me one day and said, "Mom, you've got to help. You've got to figure out a way to help those kids." And I laughed. But really, I almost started crying because I knew what that was like. As a young child in Colombia, I had seen many people struggle, especially the children. So that was nothing new for me. And then he told me a story about a little boy who was 10 years old at the time. His name was Javier, and he had to walk for 3 hours every morning to get to school. And he had to walk for 3 hours every day to get home. Can you imagine walking for 6 hours every day just to get to school? It was no wonder that Javier didn't want to go to school. He wasn't lazy. It was just too long to get to school. So I felt like we needed to do something, but I didn't know what we could do. And how could I fix this problem? It was at that moment that I started to think about all of the Javiers of the world and what we could do. So we thought, I started to do my research, and I kept finding out that there was a huge industry in the mobile game space, and everyone loved to play games. I was shocked that it was a $5 billion industry. It's currently a $15 billion industry, on its way to becoming a $50 billion industry. And I thought, I have to figure out a way to tap into that. Everyone's playing games. Why can't we play a game and change the world? It was at that moment that the enormity of the issue could have overwhelmed me. But instead, I formed Global Gaming Initiative, a mobile game company based right here in Minneapolis, whose aim is to harness the power of technology, mobile phones, gaming, and hopefully capture the hearts of 1 billion people. My goal was to connect 1.2 billion cell phone users in the world to Javier's needs. So how could we do that? We'd seen what happened during the Haitian crisis in a lot of text-to-give campaigns. They were great, but we never knew what happened to the money, and we never knew what happened to the children. So we thought, why not make a game that shows exactly how we're helping the children? And our first game was born, Sidekick Cycle. We wanted to help Javier get to school, and so we needed to design a game that was about bikes because we were donating bikes. And so that congruency helped us to understand and help share our story with our players so that they knew exactly what was going on. 50% of in-app purchases in Sidekick Cycle go directly to buying bikes for kids. You can buy all sorts of things. You can buy bikes, you can buy outfits, and you can buy furry sidekicks who are really cool little characters that help you get from point A to point B. And another thing that's very specific about Sidekick Cycle is there's a feedback loop. In the feedback loop, it tells you how many bikes have been donated so that the players can understand the tangible impact that they're making. What's really great is when you can transfer the virtual world into the real world. And we got to experience that this spring in New York City, where through the proceeds of Sidekick Cycle, we were able to donate 40 bikes to kids from the Boys and Girls Club of Queens. That was an amazing day. We've received a lot of letters from them about how those bikes have made a difference in their lives. That's why we do this. Our most recent game, Outbreak Responder, helps give malaria treatments to children in Africa. I had no idea that one child dies from malaria every 60 seconds. I also had no idea that for $1, you can save that same child's life. In Outbreak Responder, 50% of the proceeds go towards the purchase of a malaria treatment for a child in Africa. When you look at this, you think to yourself, isn't it amazing that we have the power to change all this just by playing a game? Now, if you look at the mobile gaming industry, it is remarkable that if 10% of the mobile gaming industry's revenue was just used to purchase 7 billion food packets, we could provide over 7 billion food packets for children all over the world. We could provide over 11 million bicycles. We could provide over 1.5 billion malaria treatments. We could provide over 100,000 clean water wells. We could provide over 60,000 schools and 55 million pairs of shoes. That's 10%. We give 50% through our games. The power to make a difference in the lives of children is in your hand. As we go forward into the next phase of the game revolution, we have a lot of people out there working with us to make games that impact social change. And it's very exciting because they're developing a lot of new and innovative ways, and we know that through gaming, you can make a huge difference. The time is now for all of us to join together. And you can say to yourself, well, what's next? What can you do? How can you help? Well, that's the fun part. You can do something that you already love to do every single day. You can play a game, but now you can choose games that make a difference. So we've given away over 100 bikes so far, and we're on the verge of making something huge happen as more games are coming on this type of platform. So I want to leave you with just one thought today. When you pick up or pull out your phone, as you guys have them all, and some of you play games on them all the time, you look at this phone and imagine if you could play a game on this device and change the world.